Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Blade Bias, where, I think I've been wearing this sweatshirt for like the past 5 or 6 videos in a row, and it's warm enough down here. We're breaking streaks here on Blade Bias. I don't need that thing. Today, we are checking out yet another new knife. I know I owe you guys a lot of follow-ups, which they're coming. Don't worry. They'll be out eventually. But this is a pass-around from Perennial Concepts, a maker that I have not checked out before. This, if you're a part of my Discord, which people are always subscribed, people are always surprised that I have a Discord. The link to my Discord is always in the description of pretty much every video on this channel. So if you're interested, go check it out. Tony, who you may recognize from that Discord, and ooh, I get a sticker. Yippee, I love when goodies come with pass-arounds. Don't mind if I do. This is Tony's newest design, his second design, the Solanum, or Solanum, which is the same name as one of my favorite characters in my favorite game of all time, which I can't spoil, so it's more of like a if you know kind of thing. This Solanum is pretty cool, because this is a $400 Balisong with grade 5 titanium, an S35 VN stainless steel blade, sandwich construction on bushings, coming in at 4.03 to 4.07 ounces, depending on the adjustable weight system. I'm told that there's one of 2 possible pins installed in this one currently, and this is on pass around from Perennial Concepts. If you're interested in checking this thing out, I believe he is selling them through his Instagram, perennial.concepts. Go check it out if you're interested. And you can also check out a post that he made about some of the upgrades that are coming to this thing after he does the first batch later this year. So definitely go check it out. Huge thank you to Tony for including me in the pass around. They claim this is a light blade bias to neutral outer weighted Balisong. Outer weighted just meaning that the weight is spread out to the outer sides of the Balisong. You know, the ends of the handles, the tip of the blade, things like that. And this is kind of right up where my preferences for balance were, like last year. You got that light blade bias or neutral with the outer weight. That's pretty much spot on to what I used to love. I found myself kind of turning a corner with balance recently. I've been flipping a lot of more end-weighted momentum, slightly handle bias Balisongs, things like the cheese. And that's kind of been shaping some of my preferences. So we'll see how this goes, but I, for one, am super excited. This blade is a super big talking point. I mean, just look at it. It is wacky and weird in all the right ways. The only thing that I'm not sure that I like is these lines on the blade here. You've got like this part right here, which kind of comes up into this line, and then it like gets thicker here. I'm not totally certain how I feel about that. But the Balisong overall is very regal looking. I mean, check out this tang area right here. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but it looks like a crown, especially when you combine it with this little 3-leaf pattern right here. I personally love the look of this thing closed like this, and even with it open. It's a very interesting piece. Let's see if it flips as good as it looks. Now, I do have to be careful because this kind of has that LDY kite level blade where it kind of throws off. It sets off every warning flag in my brain for how I'm supposed to be flipping. When I flip, I kind of get a view, light glances off the blade, and I get to see, am I still on the handle that I think I'm on? And every time I see a blade like this, it sets off alarm bells in my head that I'm not on the right handle and that I need to do a handle switch. But of course, I am on the right handle. I'm just used to seeing the cutting edge be on this side of the tip like your traditional Tonto. Now, that's not something that I'm going to take off points for on the Solanum here by any means, because that is ultimately a me thing more than it is this thing. And this isn't a beginner Balisong. Comes in at $400, and for the spec sheet, I can't help but draw some parallels to my favorite knife, one of my favorite knives of all time, the Sliff T, which was also that grade 5 titanium kind of $400 range. I think it's an excellent price range. One of the things that I'm immediately noticing is something that Tony warned me about before I got this. He said that the handles were not as comfortable as he liked, and he has changed a few things in the upcoming ones that he will make. I believe he said that they're tumbled now. But the handles are just a little bit more uncomfortable than you would really expect. Honestly, it's not as bad as I thought it would be, given that he went out of his way to warn me about that. but it is something that he said he has addressed at least a tiny bit going forward with the tumbled finish, because he wasn't super happy with how the finish on this one turned out. I personally am really, really enjoying how this thing is flipping so far. If it were me, I would probably add that extra weight into the adjustable weights, which I think the adjustable weight system is actually removed on the Production 2 that he posted about. But since I don't have the Production 2 here, if you want to know more about the changes that he's made, please go check out his Instagram and check out that post where he talks about some of the upgrades upcoming to the Solanum. But I'm really enjoying how it flips. I do, like I said, wish it had a tiny bit more momentum in the ends of the handles. What one pin may or may not provide that, but otherwise it feels really good. One of the main things that I'm noticing is how round the handles feel, despite still having very blocky and flat sides. Something that I, again, praised the Slift T for with its chamfers that make it feel round while you're choker fanning, but keep those flat faces on the sides, which are good for like controlling your ladders and things like that. On the topic of ladders, I'm a bit disappointed to see that there is no jimping. I know some people are going to say, oh, you don't need jimping, skill issue, but I am bad at ladders. I like my jimping. I like my good jimping. The sandwich is kind of helping. It's kind of doing the job that jimping would do, but not as much as I would really like. There is still a good level of slippage there. So I don't know, maybe the V2 can include some jimping. I don't know. You can call it a skill issue all you want. I like my jimping, man. I do. Just please don't do the incoherent jimping where it's like one side you add jimping to and then the other side, like the inside of the handles, there's none here and then there's some here. I hate when companies do that. I don't understand why they do it. Otherwise, though, for it being a slight blade bias, according to the Instagram post, to kind of a more neutral, I'm still getting a lot of good feedback on more handle bias tricks. Rollovers are sticking to my finger. It doesn't really want to fly away. I mean, it kind of does, but that just kind of owes it to the fact that I do want a little bit more weight in the end of the handles. It doesn't totally feel outer weighted to me, more than it kind of just feels a slight bit more tip weighted. But maybe that's something that would change when you add that second pin in there. I don't know. As far as I could tell, this didn't come with any extra hardware or anything for me to mess around with, so that's okay. Typically don't like to take apart pass-around balisongs anyway. Otherwise, though, I really like it. It carries plenty of momentum in fans and chokers, especially when combined with the more round-feeling handles. I really like how it carries itself through those fans and choker fans. And because some of the weight is spread out a little bit, it doesn't really falter on handle bias stuff. Chaplains, 0Gs, things like that. I'm not finding it wanting to fly away from me. There's a tiny bit of that, but not much by any means. And I'm actually really enjoying this. This is Tony's second design. His first one being the Kronos, and his upcoming one that he's teasing being the hand cannon, I guess. I swear, Tony, if you name that after Fortnite. Pretty cool stuff. Like, this is a super slick design for your second design. Especially, I'm still thinking about the way that this kind of like crown tang is. I love the way that looks. It looks so cool. And I'm just kind of enjoying this overall. Again, I think I would enjoy it far more. Like, this is prime 2025 Ethan Balisong, or maybe even 2024 Ethan Balisong, where I was far more into that like slight blade bias, but I still do like it now. I can't really find too many faults with the balance besides just that tiny bit of momentum that I am missing from the handles, but that is ultimately a bit of a nitpick. This is flipping pretty well so far. And I think that that's where I'm going to have to leave it for my first impressions video. As always, I will be doing a follow-up where I spend a little bit more time with this and give you my up-to-date thoughts on the flipping of it, if it changes or not. I do really like it so far. It takes a little bit more brain power to flip because of that reverse blade, but again, that's just me. So I would like to give a huge thank you to Tony and Perennial Concepts for including me in the pass around. I would like to thank all of you for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Later.